Yo, it is Mayo here, back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about a franchise that I've never talked about before, which is the Naruto franchise, specifically Boruto. And I wanted to make a video on what Boruto has in store for it in the future, basically just what's going to be happening like with the future of the manga and anime specifically. And I'm going to be starting with the manga first because it would be a lot more easier to timeline and basically just make like a chart or explain just how the future of the story is going to go. The Boruto anime, as we know, has a lot of filler, even more of a percentage than Naruto or Naruto Shippuden, and that's mainly because the manga only comes out monthly, so it's very hard to have them have set arcs that they would be able to adapt into the anime very quickly at all. But they basically just have arcs that are longer than they should be, which would not allow them to translate into the anime well. Because of this, they end up having a lot of filler or just quote-unquote anime canon, which does not count as to anything that would actually like help them progress in the story. And in the manga, we have had just like a few basic arcs. We had basically the first one, which was just like getting introduced and all that stuff, including that which was featured in the movie. And then we got on with more like basically just them getting used to the cast and like their abilities, which was like an arc that I believe was fairly recently in the anime. So that is canon in the story as well in the manga and anime. And then we had one more arc that was focused on one of the guards of the Mizukage that was there all the way back in Naruto Shippuden, but now he's aged up like 12 years and looks a lot older, and he's like basically the main villain of that arc. But in that arc we were not really as focused on with Naruto and Sasuke, even though we basically are going to see a lot more of them in the future. But actually not as much of Sasuke at all, but they're mainly just focusing on Naruto, which I guess makes sense because Naruto was the main character of the previous two installments of the story. And then basically what happens is after those two arcs we get in with the real action, and we get to meet Kawaki, who we obviously saw at the beginning of the Boruto anime, and he was like a really imposing figure at that point, but at this point in the story we're meeting him as like a 12-year-old, so he's obviously a lot younger, but he still is very powerful and a lot more powerful than Boruto. But we get to see that they have like similar abilities. And then we get on with the main arc that we're going through now, and basically what happens is that the Otsutsuki clan is basically really coming back in the story. And remember Kaguya's whole tree thing that she was doing, and how she was supposed to plant that tree to basically suck all the chakra out of the earth. Well, basically when Otsutsukis come to any planet in general, they need basically a pair, one to basically harvest and create the fruit, and the other one to basically just like watch over the process and do like other things that would relate to basically just like relaying or whatever. And this is where we get to see Kaguya's partner, and it was confirmed that this partner is in fact stronger than Kaguya, because Kaguya was mainly just there to harvest the fruit or whatever and just create the tree, which she ultimately failed at to some degree because of her children. And now we're getting to see basically what that partner can truly do, and that partner is starting to challenge both Naruto and Sasuke in this version of the story. Even at Naruto and Sasuke's older age and larger amounts of experience, they still can't do anything to basically really defeat this man. But that's now what we're getting into as to how Naruto is truly going to defeat them, which is basically he's going to have a new form which will make him a lot more powerful, but this will kill him. And as we've seen in Naruto, you can't really come back to life unless it's with that reanimation jutsu. So Naruto is pretty much going to be like dead for good now, unless they pull some kind of hack, which would make sense for how they're marketing more to children with Boruto. But I don't think that this is going to happen, at least for now. And Sasuke has kind of just been cucked pretty quickly, so we're not really seeing much of him either. And basically what I think is going to happen in the future of the manga is that Naruto is pretty much going to be able to take care of this enemy. Boruto and Kawaki are going to be able to fully finish them off with whatever kind of ability they have, or Boruto is going to work in tandem with Naruto as we saw during the movie. And then after that, we are going to see more of basically Boruto and him just growing his abilities by either just fighting off random enemies, larger amounts of enemies, and growing his abilities like his Shadow Clone Jutsu, his Rasengan, his whatever else. That's probably when we're going to be able to move into the time skip, which is going to feature Kawaki and Boruto both working in tandem at first, but I feel like this is either at the end of this arc or after we get into the time skip. That's when we're going to see them start to split up and start to like either hate each other, or we're going to see Kawaki be like possessed by some other kind of Otsutsuki that comes into the story, which would be another way to actually challenge the main characters, because basically they don't have anything that can truly challenge them, at least Naruto and Sasuke, without it being a threat that's as powerful as an Otsutsuki or something similar to that, like we saw with Naruto, the movie The Last. And basically that's it for what I'm focusing on in the manga portion. And now I'm going to be moving on into the anime. And one thing that was said in the manga was that they were going to have 27 volumes, and now they're like on number, I don't know, almost 50. So that's going to be like, I don't know if there's 4 per volume. They're now on volume 12 or so, and that's going to translate into the anime in a few ways, because if they're going to try to get all the way to 27 or around that many volumes to make a whole 100 volumes of the entirety of the Naruto franchise, then it's going to be a long time until the manga ends, which means it's going to be an even longer time until the anime ends. And what's going to happen with the anime probably is that they're going to keep on doing this anime canon, or this just plain filler, as they sometimes are, to not just being cowards and just bother to say it outright that it's actually just filler. And that's going to happen a lot more, but fairly soon. Within the next 6 months, I would say, is when we're going to be able to get more of that other arc that comes before the arc that we're currently focusing on, and maybe in like a year or two after that is when they're finally going to truly start to get into like the hot and heavy stuff of what we're going through right now. And they may have other anime canon arcs or whatever where we get to see more of like Naruto and Sasuke, like we had that arc which was them basically going back in time, so we get to see Boruto and Naruto working in tandem even as they were like both younger, and that was a really nice arc to see. But I don't feel like it's truly what we're trying to have them do in like the Boruto anime, because as we've seen in the Boruto anime, it's not really much of that. It's just basically Boruto going around and just like doing really random tasks. Like there was this whole arc that was focused on like these birds that got mad sometimes. I don't know, I haven't watched it in a while. I don't bother with it anymore. And like Naruto Shippuden obviously was like 500 episodes, and I feel like Boruto could easily be that length with the amount of time and filler that they're bringing into the story. And I feel like it was very illogical for them to have a monthly chapter instead of a weekly release, which would make it a lot easier for them to have content be put into the anime a lot more easily. And even though that happened a lot in Naruto, it was definitely not as apparent, or it didn't happen as often, because as we saw in Naruto, like even the percentage of filler, that's like 51 or something, and even with a lot of that, they were just like replaying flashbacks or something. At least that was something actually interesting. But in Boruto, we don't even have that much content to come from, and even in the Boruto anime, they've been making up like extra powers or whatever for Boruto just seem interesting, powerful, whatever. So it's not really something that's very obvious and apparent as to how he's going to be able to translate what he knows in the manga with what he knows in the anime, because it doesn't really make any sense. And like no one really even likes not just the anime but the characters. Like obviously Sarada is and Uchiha that has glasses. Like, it just wasn't very planned out or wasn't very logical, and maybe that was just a joke that they decided to do, or something that they just realized later because they were just too stupid to tell. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. If you did like, please do like, comment, subscribe, share, all that other stuff. Still trying to grow the channel. Mostly do meme videos and such, but I do analytical content or just exploring other anime stuff like this video, and that's pretty much it.